Hello everyone, it's Wednesday. Today I've asked my friend Pastor Abner Campos to have worship. He is a student over in seminary over at Andrews University. He's part of the Washington Conference. He'll be returning next year back to the Washington Conference, and he was nice enough to volunteer and give worship today. So thank you again, and this week we'll be preaching again. So have a blessed Wednesday, and looking forward to talking to you guys during the week.
I love my dog. You see, my dog is this beautiful 50-pound English bulldog. I'm even wearing my dog dad hat. I don't know if it's in focus there. My dog dad hat because my heart burns for my little dog. We got her at a rescue about a year and a half, getting close to 2 years ago. It's been great. Love her to death. I've always dreamed of having an English bulldog. And she likes to play tough. She'll bring her rope or her toy and we'll battle it out. She plays aggressively but with good intentions, and she's got this nice deep growl. And we play tough. She's a strong girl. She's got a big chest and a strong shoulders. And sometimes she'll grab her bone and she won't give it away. And so I'll try to hit it out of her mouth. And yet yesterday we were playing and I went to hit the bone out of her mouth, and she's strong, so you have to hit it out of her mouth real, strongly. And I hit her face, and she was hurt. And I noticed, and her chin was bleeding. And I was in pain because I caused her pain. It took me probably an hour to kind of move on from the fact that I hurt her. Because she was bleeding, she was hurt, and I thought, man, I didn't even mean to, but I did hurt her. It reminded me of a time that Abraham went through, where God told him to sacrifice his son, Isaac. And Abraham was willing to obey God because God said, hey, go sacrifice your son, the promised one. And so he takes him up to this hill, puts him on an altar. And I can imagine the paternal instincts, the fatherly instincts of Abraham not wanting to. Maybe his hand is trembling. He's waiting to do this thing but doesn't want to, and yet he is going out on faith, trusting that God will provide, and he's about to strike his son when God says, you know what? I'm providing the sacrifice. You see, in the ancient world, child sacrifice was incredibly normal. Sacrificing your son to appease the gods, to make them happy, was incredibly normal. And in one sense, maybe Abraham thought to himself, well, it seems like Yahweh, the God that called me, it seems like he's just like all the other gods, calling me to sacrifice my son. But you see, what God is doing here is he's giving Abraham a living parable of what he is not like. He wanted Abraham to see at the most extreme way that he is not like the other gods. He's actually completely opposite. He wanted Abraham to see in the greatest contrast that he is actually unlike the gods of the ancient world. He's actually showing him that he is not requiring the sacrifice of his son, but instead will sacrifice his own son. God is not showing that he is interested, that he gets pleasure. He is not a sadistic God who gets pleasure from the suffering of his children. He is not a God who is pleased to see parents sacrificing their kids. I mean, I hurt my dog by accident, and yet these people were sacrificing their own children on altars to their gods. And God is saying, I'm not like them. I'm incredibly different. God is saying, I am not a bloodthirsty God. I'm a bleeding God. I'm not a God who is going to get pleasure from your suffering, but instead will show favor to you in providing a sacrifice. God actually is showing us in this story in Genesis 24 that he would much rather take on wrath, take on suffering, take on pain, than to pour it out onto anyone else. This is the good news of the gospel, that God is with you in pain, in suffering, and ultimately would rather take it on himself as your father than to distribute it to you, his children. So take hope in these difficult times. Take hope in what you're going through. Know that your Father cares for you, that he is with you in these times, and ultimately he has provided for you and for me in the good and better sacrifice that is Jesus.
It's hard for me to let go, hard for me to breathe, thinking that I gotta control it all. I can feel my worry and anxiety when it's slipping through my fingers, and I know it. I've been losing my sleep, I've been losing my cool. I can feel my heart go boom, 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 staring at the ceiling, feeling like a fool. I'm going under and I know it, but I hear you whisper to me, if I lose my grip I could see that you are carrying me. Oh, I'm gonna let it go. Oh, cause if I trust it, I can move with your flow, being carried in the current of your love. When I lean into your arms, you're enough. So I'm gonna let it, I'm gonna let it go. Time for me to let go, time for me to breathe, knowing that he already holds it all. Time for me to turn down this anxiety, I can know my freedom in moments. Cause when I lay it all down, you're gonna lift me up. When I pour it all out, you're gonna fill my cup. You're holding out your arms and you're telling me to jump. 1, 2, 3, I go, yeah. Cause I hear you whisper to me, if I lose my grip I will see you're always carrying me. Oh, I'm gonna let it go. Oh, cause if I trust it, I can move with your flow, being carried in the current of your love. When I lean into your arms, you're enough. So I'm gonna let it, I'm gonna let it go. Letting go of my worries and my need to control things. I'm gonna take you at your word and I'm gonna lay down all my burdens. Letting go of my worries and my need to control things. I'm gonna take you at your word and I'm gonna lay down all my burdens. Oh, I'm gonna let it, I'm gonna let it go. Oh, cause if I trust it, I can move with your flow, being carried in the current of your love. When I lean into your arms, you're enough. So I'm gonna let it, I'm gonna let it go.